just go ahead if you want to.
You're good to go.
Go ahead. Okay, thank you. This is the Finance Committee of Council, 1110. It's 7:56. Present are all of council, including committee Schuman, Broussard, and Kelly. Council President, the Mayor, Planning Director, HR Director, Law Director, Finance Director, City Engineer. Hope I didn't miss anybody. And guests. We're going to discuss 2020-114 to start. And that's a resolution approving of and authorizing the mayor to enter into a collective bargaining agreement, CBA, with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFSCME, Local 2681, Clerical and Technical Unit for a period of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2023, and declaring an emergency. Director Gallo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the third of the 6 bargaining unit contracts that we have coming before City Council. This covers our clerical technical employees of the AFSCME union, which are our building inspectors, permit clerks, secretaries, rec center maintenance employees. So the contract for the cost of living is a 0% increase for 2021, 2.5% for 2022, and 2.5% for 2023. And like the other bargaining units, the firefighters and the service department, these employees have agreed to eliminating the traditional PPO plan in year 2022 and replacing the Metro Health HMO plan next year with the University Health HMO plan. So that will be a change next year. The city will contribute 50% of the deductible for employees enrolled in the high deductible plan option. So these employees will get Martin Luther King Day Jr. as an additional holiday off, all-day Christmas Eve and all-day New Year's Eve, which will, and I think I've said it before, that will also transfer over to the non-bargaining employees. The employees agreed to, we worked it out where 50 cents was added to the final step of all job classifications. We eliminated the premium pay for the CDL or commercial driver's license for employees hired after January 1st, 2021. So we are grandfathering any employees that have their CDL, and then after January 1, we will no longer compensate for that driver's license. And also the employees agreed to the complete elimination of the sick bonus. And it's a 3-year contract.
So this is pretty much the same contract. Okay, good.
The similarities in the contracts that are the strongest are the cost of living increases and the healthcare changes. And this is very similar in some aspects to the service contract, where they have the elimination of the sick bonus and they're gaining additional holidays, and the elimination of the commercial driver's license pay after January 1st.
Thank you. Any questions from committee? Questions from council? Excellent. Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we recommend 2020-114 and ask for a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. Thank you, folks. Okay, next we have 2020-115. This is a resolution authorizing the Director of Human Resources to solicit proposals pursuant to request for proposal process RFP for the lease and servicing of photocopiers, and further authorizing the mayor, subject to approval of Board of Control's entrance in the contract for the same. Is this you again, Marie?
It is. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So our copier contract expires in March of next year. So I would like to go out to request proposals to see what else is out there as far as our copiers go. We were hoping to have this before you sooner, but it took us a while to get the RFP together because we were re-examining our needs throughout the entire city. So the dates in the RFP will be amended because we probably won't we're going to probably advertise later than sooner. And with that being said, I would like to also ask that the legislation be amended to add an emergency clause. It's okay if it goes to 3 readings. I think the final reading would be the beginning of December, but I want to advertise in December so we can have everything in place before the contract expires.
Yeah, I certainly don't have a problem with that. Any questions from committee? Committee have any problems with amending this to include an emergency clause? No? Okay. How about council? Any questions from council? Yes, Councilwoman Heeman.
Thank you. So really quickly, Director Gallo, do you think our needs have increased slightly or a lot, stayed the same? Like, what's your general, just, overview on what you think we're going to need?
So we looked at items as far as scanning capabilities, scanning to email, just for the copiers to be more efficient as time goes on, because I believe the last time, this is a 5-year contract, it's just the wear and tear on the machines. So the needs have about stayed the same. I mean, we've been pretty good the last time we went out and got copiers as far as upgrading for scanning capabilities and things like that. So I would say they stayed about the same. We just need better machines because of the wear and tear.
Okay. Any further questions? Great. I'm going to go ahead. I'm sorry. Oh, Carrie, you want to say something?
I think I know that I don't know what the outcome came to when you interviewed people, but I think the police department has had a lot of breakdowns, so they might be looking at somewhat of an upgrade for volume, but for the same purposes. If you would agree or not, I don't know. That's what I heard. We were looking at.
Go ahead, Marie. You can.
Mr. Chairman, so to Director Copper's point, some of our departments, like the police department and even human resources, where we use these machines to fax because of what we handle, we cannot email it. There are some departments that do use a higher volume, and Director Copper is correct. Police is definitely one of those departments that will need an upgrade. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Director. All right, any other questions? If not, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we recommend 2021-15 to all of council. Ask for.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. Thank you. Okay, lastly.
Mr. Chair, did you need to amend it to add the emergency clause?
Yes, we do. Thank you, Mr. Glassburn. All right, I'll go ahead and do that right now. We'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and move that we amend 2021-15 to include the emergency clause. Ask for a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. Thank you, Mr. Glassburn. 2021-16. This is an ordinance. An ordinance amending section 131.06 entitled Authority to Accept Donations of Chapter 131 of the Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinance of the City of North Olmsted entitled Mayor in order to revise standards for the acceptance of donations to the City of North Olmsted. Council President, you want to talk about this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I had debated whether or not to introduce this ordinance, but a few weeks ago, the mayor had pointed out that he had made donations in the past prior to getting authorization from city council when needed. So I did approach the law director and ask for assistance in figuring out some language that would make it clear that donations to our city could not be accepted until after council had authorized the acceptance. And I believe as elected officials, we are held to a higher standard and we need to be transparent about our processes. Former Mayor Musial kindly donated money to purchase a canine for our police department. However, our city did not make payments for our dog, Mach, until after the donation had been accepted. Councilwoman Heeman donated funds to purchase the vest for Mach. However, the vest couldn't be purchased until after her donation was made through our process. And then just this year, life-saving defibrillators were donated by the Cleveland Clinic, and the legislation for this donation was suspended. As former Director Glauner told us that the equipment was sitting inside of a box and not available for use, as they could not be deployed until after council approved the donation. So the language in the legislation might seem redundant, but I think it is important and needed to ensure that those who are interested in making donations to the city need to get the required approval first. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Are we putting a limit on the donation? Is this any donations?
So the legislation reads, if it's a donation of any kind exceeding a fair market value of $1,000 shall not be accepted by the mayor without first obtaining the authorization of the North Olmsted City Council. So again, that, this is up for discussion with your committee and council, but that was my recommendation moving forward.
Okay, what about anonymous donations?
They also would have to be approved if the fair market value would be above $1,000, would need to be approved by city council.
And they could remain anonymous?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Guerrero? Is that
Yes, sir.
an issue? Is that an issue about anonymous donations?
No, I don't know that it's an issue. There's kind of a tortured history of this particular piece of legislation. It goes back, I think it was introduced by me back on council back in the late 90s. And the point of the matter was so that we understood when donations were being made to the city and everybody was on the same page. When we were at the time, a contract was being negotiated and donations were being solicited from somebody in administration while also going through kind of an RFP process. And it made me very uncomfortable. And that's where this ordinance came from. So the concept was to just, everybody kind of understands that when money or something's being given to the city, that we know we know why it's being made. If it's anonymous, somebody's not going to try to wield influence by making an anonymous donation of less than $1,000 because they're anonymous, and that whole point wouldn't really work very well, would it? But the way it's written now, I mean, it's the $1,000 is the threshold that we work off of. And you can kind of see how it's worded in the preceding section. The mayor can accept it. It's an unconditional gift. Doesn't require the city to provide matching funds, and the fair market value does not exceed $1,000. So I don't have I don't know that we get anonymous donations, but look, we got donations for the park we just did over on Brook Park Road. I mean, Butternut Ridge Road. I don't think anybody, gave $1,000, but but this is something that comes up where they donate to the food pantry. People donate to the senior center. I would imagine some of that's anonymous. People make donations all the time. The question is when somebody makes a large donation, you would want to make sure that you're on the same page and you understand that it's coming into the city. I think
a couple of people did make donations over $1,000 to that park.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there you go.
Okay. So don't we have some regular donations that go on every year from for landscaping and that kind of thing? Don't we have some I mean, I don't know how you put a value on this stuff. Isn't that something that's done already, like on a regular basis?
I'm not aware of people making donations of that type. I'm just not aware of
Okay.
it. I mean, no.
I thought that the garden club did, like the front of the senior center out there or something like that. I thought that was a thing.
That may be, and on the issue of the park, look, everybody knew there were going to be donations. That was kind of the whole point of
Right.
council. Council was in on the game, so everybody kind of knew that donations were going to be made because council wanted donations. So I'm not, but everybody knows who the donors are. I mean, it's not necessarily a thing to be concerned about because council was in on it. So I don't know about individual small donations for the park and what have you from the garden club or you name it. I'm not familiar with it.
I was under the impression that that was the case. Okay. All right, I'll open this up to the committee. Ms. Broussard, Mr. Kelly, either one of you? Anybody? No? Mr. Kelly? No, nothing? Okay, council? Mr. Glassburn?
The legislation from,
I'm
Can you not hear
sorry,
me?
could you start again? Could you start again? That we didn't hear the first part of what you.
sure. I said thank you, Mr. Chair. And to say that I support President Jones's legislation. Many times when we are given donations, they are well-intended, but they come with them usually long-term liability. They're usually one-time donations for equipment, property, etc. And while it may seem like a good idea up front, it may not be in the long-term interest of the city to go in that direction. So I think when we're talking about something that is over $1,000, that's a very reasonable threshold for council to take a look at it and say, does this make long-term sense or does this not? So that's my 2 cents. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Ms.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think this is a good practice overall. And it's cumbersome. I get that. It seems like it should be simple, right? You just want to make a donation. But actually in donating the bulletproof vest for Mach, our canine officer, I actually missed out on a really great sale because there was this whole promo at, some event. And I ended up paying more for it because of the process. So not that I'm complaining, but I'm just saying that it is the process and we are all made to follow that. So yes, I think that, this is very well intended and a very good clarifier. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we recommend 2021-16 to all of council. Ask for a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So with that 3-0. Thank you very much. That concludes my meeting.
Mr. Chair,
8:15.
Mr.
Yes.
Chair, Carrie, I do, in full disclosure, want you to know that the ice arena, the North Olmsted Hockey Club donated one of the new time, the signs with the keep score, the scoreboard. And so it when this passes, they'll be bringing it forward, but it was over $1,000. So.
But they already donated it?
Right, it's already up and hanging there. This didn't exist before, so the North Olmsted Hockey Club donated it.
So, but
They
I mean,
paid
if
for
it's already been donated, does this have to come back up again?
I don't know, but I found out about it and I wanted you to know that that it's already there and it looks really nice, by the way. So, but
That's good. That's
I
nice.
just wanted to let you know they wanted to take part in upgrading the ice arena.
Mr.
Chair,
Chairman,
before I close, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, if it's $1,000, if the answer to the question is it's $1,000, if it's $1,000, then they'd be required to, council would have to approve it.
So even though it's already been done before this legislation went through?
I mean, there doesn't seem to be, yeah, because there was no exception before. So I guess it should be, if we're going to strictly follow it, then the donations of that sum need to be approved by council. And even if it was already done, it should still be recognized and approved. And then moving forward, on a going forward basis, that shouldn't be happening because you need to have
All right.
approval before you receive it.
Okay.
Right. I just wanted you to be aware that that occurred, even though, I mean, it was all part of the project. So, and I just wanted you to know that this would be coming forward.
Good. Okay.
The legislature.
Before we close out this meeting, Director Kopfer, you want to talk about the budget hearings coming up? What you're planning?
Yes, I've been talking with Mr. Schuman and Council President and the Council Clerk about having budget hearings in person. I feel like these meetings, when there's a lot of paper flowing and numbers and stuff, it's difficult to do it in a go-to meeting format. And so we're hopeful that we will be able to have those meetings. I know they bought the what did you buy? So that you could have the meetings virtually with us being in there. And I know we bought the plastic separators. So hopefully by the beginning of December, we'll be able to have the budget hearings in council chambers.
So I guess I'd like to have the committee be. I mean, really, it's up to the committee, I think, to be able to do this. I guess it's up to me, but I don't think it is up to me. I think it's up to committee if we want to do this or not. I don't have a problem with it. If anybody else doesn't have a problem with it, sounds like everything's in place. And then, of course, council. If any members of council would like to comment on this, I'd be happy to hear them too before we decide.
I mean, obviously they're your meetings, so you make the call, but I just feel like it would go smoother in person than virtually.
Do we have a limit of how many people we can have at these meetings to start with? I mean, isn't that the case right now, that we can't have more than 10 people in a room? Mr. Massarolo, do you have a comment on that?
I was going to say right now, I mean, we'd have to ask the law director, but because we don't have access to the elevator, we'd have an ADA issue. So we would have to stream the meetings live, but allow no public to come in, is my understanding what we'd have to do at this time.
So we would be within the numbers we're allowed to have in the room is what I'm asking. I guess I get that about streaming. Okay. And we have the equipment to stream it now, right? So we can do that. So, all right. Okay. And then, of course, we're going to have, what is the number? Do you know what the number is? How many people you can have in a room now? Go ahead, please, Chuck.
There's an exception for public public government, so we're not subject to any numbers as far as I know.
Okay, good. I didn't know that. All right. Anybody, Lou, Pat, you guys got an opinion about this? Go ahead, Lou. Your mic's off.
My bad, sorry. I have no issues with meeting in person for budget hearings. Thank you.
Pat?
I'm in favor of meeting in person.
Okay. I don't have a problem with it either. Anybody on council want to make a comment about it? Angela, you got something? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My only concern is with the COVID numbers that continue to rise. We're up to 6,000 something today, and I mean, I think it's great. I'd love to see all of you in person, but you know, especially after the Thanksgiving holiday, and then we need to worry about all of that. I mean, I just want to keep that in mind. And you know, I know that the administration likes to hand out items to us on the evening of our budget hearings, but if we do have to go virtual, those could be provided to us ahead of time. if we had to, but thank you.
I'm sorry, Councilwoman, could you, so, what are you saying? You'd want all this stuff given to us ahead of time?
Well, I think we should get it ahead of time anyway, but I'm saying that, you know, if these numbers don't increase, I don't think it would be wise for us to bring it into council. That's all I'm saying. So if the numbers did go up, or if anything changed with, with what
I'm
the
willing to play
governor's
it by ear also. I get what you're saying.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Or if one of us gets sick before then, I think we have to change our attitude.
Let's hope not.
Mr. Broussard, you got something else?
Yeah, just to follow up, just based on Angela's comment, which I totally respect, by the way. Are we able to have sort of a hybrid attendance where we have 5 there and 2 not there via virtual, that kind of scenario, or no?
I don't know. Council President, do you have an idea about that?
At this point in time, that we are not able to do that.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I seem to recall that the charter amendment prohibited these bifurcated, some present, some not present meetings.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Nothing.
Is that going to affect, when does that go into effect, though? I mean,
well, your law director might say that it goes into effect now. It's I think when the election, we've had this issue in the past when the election results are certified, and I don't know that date, but that should be coming up pretty quick. I know we've had that come up, a big debate about when something's effective, but I seem to recall that it's when the election results are certified. But in the meantime, we're still under the state authorization to do so. That was kind of a second layer of opportunity for us, but you're still eligible to continue to meet in this capacity, until.
all right, I guess. Okay, go ahead, Councilwoman Heeman, you got something?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't recall, are we allowed to use an alternate location, perhaps like Springville, where we've got more space? Or, yeah, I don't recall if we are allowed to do that, and perhaps that could, help with the comfort level.
What we're talking about doing is actually using council chambers, and the plastic gets set up, and the air conditioning system's working, and I mean,
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Mr. Guerrero.
That other chart, the second charter amendment authorized council to establish alternate locations in council chambers if council wishes. Those some good charter amendments.
Yeah, they are. They're great. So, what is it acceptable to everybody that we attempt to do this in council chambers? And if the numbers are up, if like a week, I don't know. Is this my call? I don't even know. Council President, is this my call where I have my meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So if I wanted to have the meeting in the park, I could have the meeting in the park.
As long as the public has proper notification and has access to our meeting, then you could have your meeting in a park, correct?
I'm not thinking of any particular park. I just wondered. I mean, I like the park, but okay.
You could have your meeting with green eggs and ham.
How about the pocket park?
On a boat.
That is exactly what I was thinking.
All right. Well, how about if we do this? How about if let's move forward, Director Kopfer, as if we're going to have these meetings in council chambers, and how much of notice do we have to give people here anyway? What's proper notice, Chuck? How much time do we have to give people notice?
24 hours.
Only 24 hours. The public?
For committee meetings, it's only 24 hours. For council,
oh, excellent. Okay, well then let's play it by ear. Okay, let's assume we're going to do it this way, and then play it by ear. Is that fine? Carrie, you got something?
If that's resolved, the other question, which you and I didn't have an opportunity to talk about, is what kind of schedule? Do you want to do it during the week like we've done in the past few years, or on a weekend?
If we do it during the week, what are we talking about? 3 nights?
I think we did it in 3 nights last time. I'll double check.
Yeah. If we do it on the weekends, what would it be? 2 Saturdays?
It could be done in one Saturday.
Could it really?
It
You know, I'd
could.
hate to have to be in that room all day though with you guys.
Yeah.
You know, that scares me more, I think. I don't know.
Get
Mr.
pretty
Glassberg,
scary
did you?
when you're tired.
What's that?
We do get
I'm
pretty
sorry?
scary toward the end when we're tired.
Yeah. Mr. Glassburn, you had your hand up for a second there. Did you? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. If we're going to move the location, and I'm certainly open to doing that to a location like Springvale that has higher ceilings and may afford us a safer environment for us and the public, I would encourage us to, I don't know, I don't want to create an arbitrary timeline, but at least a week, or so, if it's not City Hall, to give the public a little bit of better chance of noticing that we're not going to be in the building.
We'll do as much as we can. Okay. Let's play it that way. For right now, we're talking about doing it in council chambers. I think I'd prefer to do it in a matter of weeknights, personally.
Okay. The other thing is, if you move it, then you can't use the virtual thing, or is that mobile, Chuck? You
Yeah,
can't.
but then we can invite people if we moved it to Springvale, people could come there.
Yeah. Okay.
We'd have to have everybody sitting 6 feet apart and stuff, right? And there's no dancing, no mixed dancing or any of that. So, all right. I think we've settled this in my head. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to conclude my meeting at 8:28 now. Thanks.
Mr. Schuman, will you be bringing dinner instead of donuts?